Welcome back, everybody. If you're new, my name's Nicholas, and this is Investing Against the Grain. Hope everybody had a good weekend. We had a crazy Monday, that's for sure. Stock prices went up, stock price went down, and then stock price went back up to close the session at essentially highs of the day. Now, in today's video, I want to talk about some exciting things despite all the craziness happening right now, despite the Fed news about to come out in a couple days, Wednesday. I want to talk about China, Tesla, and I want to talk about the stock split. So before we get into it, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. If you guys want to sign up for my Patreon, you can find the link down below. And I think this is going to be an interesting episode because with regards to the Investor Day, I have a little bit of a theory that you guys might find interesting. All right, let's get into it. So let's get a couple of the interesting news information that we got out of the way first before we get into my theory about the stock split and Investor Day and all that good stuff. Take a look at this. Tesla Shanghai resumes 80% production at Gigafactory. According to Chinese officials, as of Saturday, Tesla has resumed over 80% production at its Shanghai Gigafactory. Tesla was part of the first whitelist of companies put together by Shanghai that were flagged to resume production in a staggered manner. The company recently reopened in what they called a closed-loop system, meaning nobody goes in or out. Employees lived and worked at the factory. By April 22nd, Elon Musk mentioned Giga Shanghai was coming back with a vengeance. He said this during the earnings call for context. To orderly promote work resumptions in key sectors, Shanghai has drawn up a second list of 1,188 companies, so essentially just other companies that may be tied to the companies that are already whitelisted. Now, this is a big deal because, as we all know, Shanghai is kind of the main production source, especially for exports when it comes to Tesla. So having Shanghai kind of back up and running, not 100%, but it's at 80%, is a pretty big deal. Now, with regards to China, we also got some other news. So this is from Sawyer Merritt. And you can see he tweeted saying 90,000 would be roughly 22,500. So a big increase over the previous weekly output peak, which is about 15 to 17,000 vehicles. These comments are coming from the Secretary General of the CPCA. So what's he referring to? Well, take a look at this document. Strong growth in the second half of the year. Chao Dongshu, I think that's how you say it, believes that the industry is currently facing a relatively difficult situation, but the overall trend of resource prices and key product prices is a relatively stable state. On this basis, the layout of leading enterprises is gradually improving, so that's a good thing. In the second and third quarters of this year, the production capacity and output of leading enterprises will be further released and increased. All right, so let's get to the Tesla stuff. The specific situation is that after Tesla expands production in June this year, so in other words, the expansion of Giga Shanghai that was supposed to be done in April is now delayed till June, so that's what they're referring to. Tesla's production capacity will be further improved. The monthly output is expected to increase from 60,000 to 70,000 units to 80,000 units and 90,000 units ultimately. And this is on a monthly basis. So going back to what was being said by Sawyer Merritt, 22,500 vehicles per week. And again, keep in mind, that's talking about on a weekly basis, so 7 days. Using the monthly number, that can be a little different because some months have more days than others, but just for rough idea here. So again, this is a big deal. It is estimated that BYD's current production capacity is nearly 1 million vehicles in aggregate. Due to the gradual implementation of production capacity in various places. By the end of this year, it is expected that the effective production capacity should reach a level of about 1.8 million vehicles. All right, now they go on to talk about some other stuff, but that's all that was talked about Tesla related. And keep in mind, BYD, it's not just electric vehicles, it's also hybrid electric vehicles, so two drivetrains, right? A ICE drivetrain and a battery electric drivetrain as well. So again, a lot of good stuff coming out of Shanghai, which is pretty much a big relief for all of us Tesla investors. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I was, a little worried about what could happen with Shanghai. I mean, we didn't really know. China seems very adamant about zero COVID no matter what. They're willing to risk economic success and what's happening with their entire country right now just to curb the continued rise of COVID. Right now, things are moving from Shanghai to Beijing. Now we're looking at lockdowns in Beijing. So this will be evolving. But the good thing is it seems like we're on the other side of it. Elon Musk seems to have been correct about Tesla's going to come back, or Tesla Shanghai is going to come back with a vengeance. So exciting news here. Okay, so let's talk about what you probably really want to hear about, and it's my theory with regards to Tesla Investor Day, stock split. But first, let's give some context. Most of you probably woke up today thinking that we were going to hear something about when Investor Day is, what the stock split was going to be, the announcement of it. However, we didn't get any of that. Instead, we saw the following. So here we can see the extension filed. We currently expect that our definitive proxy statement for the 2022 annual meeting of stockholders will be filed later than the 120th day after the end of the last physical year. Okay, again, remember, this is the time frame that they have to do it within, or they can file for an extension, which is what this is. And it's the same thing we've seen over the last couple of years. Accordingly, this amendment, number 1 to Form 10K, this amendment is being filed solely to amend, you can see whatever it is here, delete the reference. Okay, in general, the rest of this is just kind of mumbo jumbo. It doesn't really matter. The point is that they're extending it, right? And they can essentially extend it and do it whenever they want. So we don't know when Investors Day is going to be. We don't know when they're going to go ahead and announce it so that then shareholders can vote on whether or not we want to increase the amount of shares that Tesla has so that then Tesla can go ahead and do a stock split, which it's very hard to believe that it's not going to get approved and that it won't go through. But what's my theory? Well, to really get to the basis of my theory, we need to listen back into this key question that was asked and this key question that was answered by Elon Musk and the Tesla team during the Q1 earnings call. So let's have a quick listen to this. It's pretty quick. It's about a minute long. So let's listen to this, and then we can have a better context of what might be happening here. And this could be pretty exciting. A lot of people kind of have dismissed this. We don't hear a lot of people talking about this, but this to me was arguably one of the I guess maybe the robotaxi, what they're doing with that, and the plans that they're actually working on that. Maybe that was the biggest bomb that was dropped during the Q1 earnings, but this was probably the second. Okay, we got something coming, but let's listen to this from the Q1 earnings call, and shout out to Rob Maurer. This is where I'm getting the footage from.
Thank you. And the next question is, how does Tesla plan to secure raw materials required to scale to extreme size?
Yeah, so this is something we think about quite a lot. It depends what extreme size means, but so certainly if you're looking at, like, say, the $5, $10, $20 million, $5, 10, 20 million vehicle levels, you really have to analyze the sort of macroeconomic, just like what is the tonnage of lithium that you need, of nickel, of iron phosphate, of graphite, separators, electrolytes, electrolyte. You really need to think of just macro tonnage. And we need to think about this for the world as a whole, because we want to figure out what are limiting factors for accelerating the advent of a sustainable energy future, and whatever those limiting factors are, Tesla will take action on those limiting factors. So right now we think mining and refining lithium it appears to be a limiting factor. And it certainly is responsible for quite a bit of cost growth in the cells. It's, I think, the single biggest cost growth item right now, certainly on a percentage basis. Although, just for those who don't totally know this, the actual content of lithium in a lithium-ion cell is maybe around 2 or 3% of the cell. So
5 kgs a car.
Yeah, it's not 5 kilograms exactly. It's not. It's called a lithium-ion cell, but by far the most expensive and heaviest item in the cell is the cathode. So that's the nickel or the iron phosphate. We're looking carefully at all of the raw materials and trying to figure out how we can accelerate the total amount of raw materials needed to transition the world to sustainability. And I think we've got. That we don't have enough time on this call to really go through all those details, but we are thinking about these things, and we think we'll have some exciting announcements in the months to come.
And we think we'll have some exciting announcements in the months to come. All right, this is something I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. To me, this seems very clear that Tesla plans on getting into the mining business, mainly of lithium. At least that's what it seems like at the moment. Now, why do I think this is a big deal? And how does this tie back to the stock split, investor meeting, all that? Well, as we all know, for the majority of these investor meetings that we've had over the years, Tesla seems to always tie it with something new that they're doing or some, innovation, whether it's battery day, AI day, autonomous day, right? So this might turn into mining day, right? Where we're going to go ahead and learn about Tesla's new entrance into the mining business, yet getting even further vertically integrated. All right, so now they would be going ahead and moving into mining lithium, which should have kind of already been something we all assume just because of their patents with the extraction of lithium using salt, essentially. So it's not like this is just something that we weren't expecting. And again, here we listen to Elon talking about exciting news in the coming months, right on the back of talking about lithium. And, Tesla's going to get into any business where there is a fundamental limitation or a bottleneck. Tesla's going to get into that in order to alleviate that issue or that bottleneck because, well, Tesla is good at solving complex problems. And again, if we keep working backwards of how that question was asked, this was all part of the main question about going to extreme size. And what's the big thing about the extreme size? Well, that's what Elon said is the whole plan of Master Plan Part 3. So my theory is that Tesla's Investor Day is going to be at the same time that they're ready to make an announcement about whatever venture they're about to get into with regards to mining. Will it be lithium? Will it be nickel? Will it be something else? Who knows? Maybe they're just going to buy a company and go ahead and start iterating on top of it, bringing people in, taking people out, and just helping refine the way they do certain things. The point is, I think this is what the next investor meeting is going to be, and I think that's when they're going to announce the stock split, and that's when we'll go ahead and vote. So whenever this happens, whenever we get the actual date, look out for something bigger. At least, again, this is just my theory. There's no reason to think I'm right other than, what you just heard there. Elon said that they're going to have an announcement next coming months. And what do you think is going to happen next coming months? Well, Investor Day seems to be coming next coming months. So this is just my theory. Whenever I saw the delay today for announcing when the investor meeting will be, the shareholder meeting would be, and the stock split and all that, to me, immediately I thought back to the Q1 earnings call. I thought about what Elon said here, and it just all of a sudden, all the puzzle pieces seem to fit. At least they seem to fit for today. All right. Well, as far as the stock price goes today and what's going to happen tomorrow and the next day with the Fed meeting and all that, no one knows. Absolutely no one knows. What could happen? Well, the Fed could go ahead and come out and say, well, we're not going to do 50 basis point. We're going to do 75 basis point, and the market freaks out and it tanks. That could happen. What else could happen? Well, they did pretty much forecast and pretty much tell us that they're going to do a 50 basis point rate hike. Well, what happened whenever they actually did the 25 basis rate hike? Well, the market rallied after that, mainly because they finally knew what was going to happen. The market knew. The market doesn't like all this uncertainty. So if the Fed can go ahead and thread this needle, do whatever rate hike they're going to do, and give a good guidance that's predictable instead of just this, we don't know what's going to happen from meeting to meeting, then I think the market can rally. But the bigger picture is that nobody really knows, all right? I mean, just because that happened last time doesn't mean it's going to happen this time, right? It's just this market is very temperamental. The other thing that we have to keep in mind is that May 9th could be the day that we have the end of the Ukraine-Russian war, right? May 9th, I believe, is supposed to be the D-Day for Russia when they want to have everything done and have the whole Donbass region essentially under their control. So if that happens, then that could also be very good for the market. But just a couple days later, we get CPI readings for April. So this is going to be a crazy next, call it 10 days. But I think there's a chance that a lot of this could be very bullish for us to go into the second half of May. All right. There's a potential that we only get a 50 basis point. We find out that inflation is coming down now, that we did peak in April, and the whole Russia-Ukraine conflict could be coming to an end, or at least de-escalating. If that's the case, second half of May, extremely bullish. All right. Well, we're going to leave it there for today. You can't be happier than what happened today for a Monday. It was stressful up and down when you look at the stock market, but when you realize that we're just investing for the long term, you realize that stress is just unwarranted in general. So hopefully you felt the same way. Don't forget, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. I love you all. Peace.